Hi there, it's Brian Sebastian, Movie Reviews and More, Worldwide TV Network, Women on TV.tv, iHeartRadio, IT 247 out of Franklin, Tennessee. And today will be a very interesting show because I've never spoken to this woman before. Who are you? Where do you come from?
Hi, it's nice to meet you. I'm Lauren Coogan from England, and I was just on Love Island USA season 2. So that's where I come from.
Let's talk about this. Have you wanted to be an actress before? And then how did this come about for you?
I wanted to be an actress always, as a child, and then went to school and college for that and got into various schools and then kind of just let it fall away and worked more on the other side of things. And then reality TV kind of just seemed a little bit more appealing and kind of easier and more fun, and I could be myself. So I was like, okay, after leaving it alone for years and years, I just said yes to Love Island, honestly. So it's been a bit of a weird journey with the whole, I wouldn't really call it acting, but TV, I guess.
Hey, it starts to get into things like that. You just never know. I remember, talking to housewives of Orange County when they started. I mean, going back that far, and you never know where everything takes you, which is actually a really good thing. So for you, how long have you been living here in the US now?
Oh my God, I've been in LA now for 10 years. And then before that, I want to say like another 6 or so. I have no idea, lose track of like the years and days, but like more than half of my life. It's crazy. Every year that goes by, I'm like, wow, how long have I been
here? That's kind of funny.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't keep up, but a long time.
Can you talk about what made you go in and audition, or did someone send a photo in for you? How did that happen? Because it's interesting. It's calmed down and starting to rev back up now.
Yeah, it's starting to rev up a little bit. I was actually approached just from my Instagram. So one of the casting people reached out and was like, would you like to do Love Island? And I'd seen the English one and I loved it because it was just so ridiculous. I was like binge watching every single episode. So kind of just got reached out to from Instagram and then went through the casting process all the way through almost to the end for season 1, and then almost did England's last season that just got cancelled because of COVID, and then ended up doing this season. So it's been like a Love Island journey for me over the years. It's crazy. I almost was like, I'm not doing this. It's too annoying. But then I was like, okay, I'll do it.
So wait a minute, you got to do both of them?
No, I was going to do both. You can't do both.
I was just going to say, yeah.
Yeah, no, but the last English one just got cancelled because they couldn't fly to Spain.
Right.
Because of the virus.
Yeah, interesting.
So they had to do this one all quarantined. Mm-hmm.
And I know you can't talk about a lot of stuff, but when you, being here, being in the lockdown, being in the entertainment world, a lot of things stop. For us, for example, we never stopped. I'm so exhausted. This is our 30th straight week of doing Zoom and then being back.
Oh my God. I don't know how you do it. It's so frustrating. Yeah.
Well, we've been helping a lot of people. So that's why it's fun like this, because we've been helping a lot of people, and that makes me happy that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, yeah, because it's easier because you can do more calls in a day. You don't need all of the, the fluff of it. But it's so hard not to be face to face. You can't like bring across who you are. And I like to like meet people and be very like, not hands-on, but like in front of you. And the screen, I feel like takes away so much. So it's frustrating.
Yeah. What are some of your goals that you want to do? What are things that you're looking that might be interesting for you? Have you ever thought about hosting or anything like that?
I would love to host. I think that I'd be great at that. So would love to do any kind of that, like entertainment hosting, or honestly, like it's just a very strange goal, but I'm like, I want to be a Real Housewife of Beverly Hills. I have like a lot of things to do to get there, but I'm like, that's really it for me.
Can you talk about, for your fans, what is it that you really like? Are you better on Instagram or Twitter, or you are kind of go back and forth on Facebook? Because people got their genres now. Yours is more Instagram, right?
Mine is Instagram, 100%. A little bit of Twitter, but not so much. I think mine is, I'm just very Instagram. I don't even think I have a Facebook. So I'm like Insta.
So now that things are starting to open up a little bit for you actresses and things like that, what do you see that's like? Are you doing more auditions like this?
I haven't been doing any like acting auditions. It's been a lot more photo shoots, and I have like set up from now until the end of, the beginning of next year. It's photo shoots, which is a lot of them are going to be in Mexico or different places that are closer that we can go to. But it seems to be more like photo shoots for different, swimwear brands and things that are tied more into what people saw me wear on Love Island. So it's a lot of trips, a lot of shoots. But I haven't really been doing auditions on Zoom. I didn't even know if that's what people were doing.
Oh yeah, yeah. A lot of my co-hosts do that from cross countries, and it's
Oh my gosh.
and I always told them the more I have them on the shows, the more jobs they were getting, which is interesting because it's just a different way of doing things, as you can see. And
Yeah.
hours that we have, I go by views, so the more they've been on, there's been a lot more prominent people on that. Oh, I like this girl. Never heard about it before. I would choose her because I can
Yeah,
her personality's coming out. But like you said earlier,
that
nothing
makes sense.
of us being in person.
I know. It's just not the same. It really isn't. But what can you do? I guess you just have to try. I feel like auditioning on Zoom would be difficult, or maybe it would be easy because it would take some of the nerves away. It's like a barrier if you think about it that way.
They say it's easier for them because they can get more stuff in, less travel and stuff like that, but also safe. That's what I've been hearing from my co-hosts, and that's what I've been hearing from a lot of people that have been reaching out to us. I go,
That
well,
makes sense.
I knew that, but in general,
Right.
you could see how things could go because this is not going away. So the sooner you adapt it, the more better you'll be at doing it this way.
Yeah, no, it's true. I'm like, maybe I should start the
Oh,
audition training.
absolutely. We're getting you hints right now. How's that sound?
There we go. Yeah, just jump right into it.
Could you talk about what it was like to do that audition process once they went on to your Instagram? Because people are wanting to do more TikTok and Instagram, and those two things I stay away because I bring traditional with influencers together, and I like what I'm doing, so I don't necessarily have to reach out that much. But for you, this is right in
Mhm.
on your ballpark, right?
Yeah, I think the audition process for this show was very crazy because they keep it so secretive, and
Yeah.
you couldn't tell anybody even down to like I'm on the show, and you could tell the one person who is going to run your socials and close family. But if somebody finds out that you're going to be on the show beforehand, like they'll drop you. Like it was very under wraps. So we did like a full week um in a hotel, in California, and you had to be secluded in your room and only go back and forth and not talk to anybody and not open your door. So even the audition process kind of foreshadowed the quarantine process that we went through in the hotel. So it was like a rigorous process of different auditions and meetings and pictures and seeing how you moved. And so that was after the Instagram thing and Zoom calls and stuff like that. But it was a long audition process. And, then COVID happened and it all got postponed and things were happening like this on Zoom. But it started out being face to face and actually going into the hotel and going through that whole thing. But yeah, it was a wild ride. I feel like I've been trying to like get on Love Island for like 2 years straight. It's just been like postponed and postponed and postponed.
How do you deal with that as an actress, as a person, and then someone who's lived in the U.S. for what 10 years, and then but originally from another country? How is that for you, for your psyche? Because that's kind of weird when you think about it.
It's very weird. And this show has so many components that are strange for your psyche that I'm like, that didn't even register as an issue for me. But I think it's just the isolation and the 24 hours, even when you're sleeping, being filmed, and the waking up at certain times. Like they tell you when to sleep, when to wake up, when to eat. It's never the same. Nobody has any time on their phones. Everybody's phones have different times. There's no sense of time or what's happening or even what day it is or how long you've been up. That was like the most crazy thing to get used to. But with, yeah, I guess I'm like, I don't know, I haven't lost my mind completely because it has been years of like, is this going to happen? Is this going to happen? And then a
Yeah.
full pandemic. And then it's happening. And then you're secluded for 2 weeks straight in a hotel where you can't speak to anybody, no internet, no phone. And then you just go straight into trying to realize, like, oh, I'm on TV. Like it's almost live 24 hours later. And like you just can't think about it. You just kind of go.
So think about this. You've gone through this now. Imagine a woman, you, no internet, phone for 2 weeks. Talk about that first, and then talk about what it was like to really be locked down during COVID. Almost the same thing, but two different things.
It was like COVID kind of gave me like a guideline for it, because it was like, okay, we're kind of locked down, we're home, we're not allowed out, think you can't go to the movies, you can't do this, you're trying not to go to the grocery store. And then once I got to Vegas, it was an even more extreme version. So I was like, okay, so have kind of been locked down a little bit, and now I'm like, wait, no phone, no internet, no. I mean, I really lost it. Like, you had nothing to do, and I would sometimes wake up and be like, what day is it? Like, I just want to call my mom. And I would wake up and cry. So I would wake up, sit in my room, and just be like, okay, like, this is it today. Like, just you and your thoughts. And then other days I just stare out of this shitty window, like, of the Rio Hotel for like hours. And I would meditate for hours and hours and hours, and like take a bath and like pace. Like, that would be an interesting show, to have hidden cameras in everybody's quarantine rooms before going on to the show.
They have started to come out. One is called Social Distance. If you haven't seen it on Netflix, it's really good.
I thought you were gonna say of our tapes, and I was like, no, they did not like hide cameras in there. But no, it's an actual show, Social Distancing.
Yes, it's got 80 episodes of 22 minutes, and it's what people really went to. It's really good. So for example, I started April 2nd. I mean, I knew this was coming for a while.
Really?
Yeah, but it was one of those things where I would just keep going on everything with shows and things like that. And I was doing 3-5 Zoom shows a day with my co-host.
Wow.
Different countries, different time zones, cross country. And it over the million mark of what we needed for our YouTube channel, but also our stuff out of Tennessee. So we were just going, which was good. And it was really, really good because we were able to help a lot of people, sort of like yourself, just keep going on things.
Right.
So when you were locked down for just regular COVID, what was that like for you in general? Because it's two different things. Now you're really locked down. What like? Because now everybody can relate to what you were probably going through at this point.
You're saying what was it like before, or what was it like in the hotel?
No, just during COVID right now.
Oh, well, I had to fly back because my brother had a brain aneurysm. So I left my psych evaluation for the Love Island casting process and was like, okay, jump on a flight. What's happening? And then he ended up being fine, had 5 brain surgeries. So I was already in a very like fragile headspace. So I had gone through all of that. And then I was like, oh, you might not be able to fly back to LA. And then so that was, the news was looking crazy. LA and New York were looking like zombie lands. So I stayed in Florida and kind of was at the beginning, I was doing that thing where I was refreshing Twitter every 5 seconds, just watching the numbers go up and up and up and being like, oh my God, like what's happening? And which was just so not healthy. And then I ended up being like, I can't look and monitor this, because it was obsessive. And I'd be like going between like the news and this and that and watching. So I was with my family, and we kind of, it was Florida, so it's more laid back there anyway, but we were trying to watch and do the right thing to keep up with everywhere else. It was kind of just surreal and strange. And, then the masks suddenly are a normal thing. And the hand sanitizer. And in the beginning, I remember it was like every time you touch a surface, it was like washing your hands. Like, it was mania. So went from all of that, and then it kind of eased up a little bit, and then I flew to Vegas, and then was full lockdown, like getting COVID swabs up my nose every other day. Truly, what people in crazy suits coming into your rooms, and everything's wiped down. So it got a little bit better, and then it just went straight back into like we're living in like the apocalypse or something. The beginning of it. Yeah.
Most people
wild. Like, can't even.
Oh, go ahead. You're saying something else.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it's just weird. Like, it doesn't even feel real to me. I feel like it's one thing this whole year for everybody that I've talked to has been like one tragedy after another, or one crazy thing that would happen to somebody, in your lifetime, and we're all dealing with it in the span of a couple months. So it just, I can't even like sit and think like, no, like this is real life and it's still happening and we're still trying to deal.
Were you like everybody else? Were you all of a sudden you were watching Netflix too, or were you reading books and whatever? Were you doing that also?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I was like, remember when everybody was watching The Tiger King and like the whole world was watching that? Yeah, we were all doing that at the same time, and then certain shows. And I mean, that Netflix, if anybody who pitched a show and they got it in right on time, like I was watching things I didn't give a shit about, like, because you'd gone through all of it and I'd read all the books. I'm sitting there like coloring with my siblings, like, what? We have never done this. I think I even did a puzzle, which I can't stand puzzles. You're just trying to stay busy, eating and eating and eating.
Yeah, it's well, I look forward to seeing a lot of those documentaries and films coming out because now they're starting to come out. And me as a reviewer, I have to watch all that stuff anyhow. But
Yeah.
they're very, very good. And then, what kind of music are you into? What was keeping you sanity? Because a lot of people were playing just music or meditating.
So much music. Well, I was so frustrated when I was in the room because we had a Roku, but it was like parent controlled times 1,000. So I didn't realize the importance of music, but not just like, so we could have the one that was the free, whatever, Amazon Music, and that was it. So you could, like, I would be like, I need to listen to Lana Del Rey, like Young and Beautiful, specifically right now because I feel like I'm going to lose my mind. And you couldn't play that specific song, but it would be like songs that sound like. And so it would be like just always not quite right. And I never knew how frustrating that was. Or I'm like, I want to do this to work out. All I can do is work out in my room. And it would just be like not quite there. And it was so unmotivating. I don't know if that's just for me, but I was like, I didn't know how specific I was with what I wanted to listen to when. And how much music could have saved me through that whole thing and been fine. But I was like, it was just slightly off and it was driving me mad.
No, there was a lot of people doing that. I was talking to a lot of the major A-list musicians who become friends of our numbers, but two, because they needed some place to talk. And all of a sudden, they all started getting on Zoom or Skype. And I thought that was interesting. I go, now you've entered our world. You're watching movies, you're doing interviews. Welcome to our world. And I go, are you still continue this as things starts to let up a little bit? Because I kept telling them, it's not going away for 5 years. So learn to be able to adapt and adjust.
Oh my gosh, why do you take 5 years? Don't do this to me.
Hey, I'm on record for saying that. I've been right the last 2 years and everything. So yeah, so that's why I said for you, make this your thing, because if my co-hosts are doing it and I know a lot of the other 8 people are doing it this way, this is the way it's gonna go because it's less expensive.
Yeah.
And then when you get in there, as you can, I'm sure you got a great personality, you knock it dead,
I think you're right, but I think it's going to change. This is, in some way, shape, or form going to be the new normal. So I think that same with everybody's jobs, like where they realize how much can be done remotely or from home. It's not going to completely go back. I think it's going to hopefully be some kind of like 50-50, 60-40 situation of it all happening online and also then in person when it goes back to normal. But I think you are right. Like this is kind of how the future's going to be until we all turn into avatars or something.
Speaking of that, give your social media links for the audience so they can reach out to you.
Yes. You can find me on Instagram at Lauren Coogan, my name, LaurenCoogan, and Twitter is the same, at Lauren Coogan. And those are the only socials I have.
So there was one thing, and I don't know if you can talk too much about it. Who was the guy you met in the airport? Can you talk about that or no?
Yeah, I can talk about it. His name is Garrett. I met him at the airport on my connecting flight out of Tafila, and my episode hadn't aired yet, so I was like not allowed to see anyone or talk, or do anything. So I was like trying to lay low. I had massive bags that I kept picking up and dropping, and because production had shoved all of my stuff into all of these cases and it was so heavy, and so he just was like, do you need help with your stuff? And I was like, yes, like on the verge of crying already because of the stress of the show, and I was pissed that I got eliminated and just everything. And so we grabbed a drink and kind of just started talking and hit it off. And basically he was like, do you want to just turn around and go back, do Vegas again? Like, don't look at your phone. Let's take a break because my social media was going insane. And so I was like, okay, and called my mom and I was like, this is kind of crazy, but I'm going back to Vegas. And we just stayed there. And every day we were like, do you want to stay another day? And we did. We ended up doing like 5 or 6 days and then flew back. And then TMZ was there. And I was like, I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know what to call this guy. Like, what are we doing? It's going to look like I staged the whole thing. But I mean, yeah. And so we're still taking it day by day. We're going to do a trip for my birthday in a couple days. We're going to Mexico in a few. It's just like going. But I'm like, wow, what a weird ton of events.
You're a Libra too?
I'm a Scorpio.
Oh, interesting.
Are you a Libra?
No, yeah, I'm Libra. What day's your birthday?
Okay. The 12th.
Congratulations. Happy early birthday.
Thank you. Happy birthday too. If you did you have it yet?
Oh yeah, I didn't do anything. I worked. I mean, but this is the best year ever. That's all I did.
Seriously. Right. I'm like, at least I'm still here. But yeah, we're gonna try and figure out which countries are open and do it. We have a few things on the table.
Just a couple questions. What would you say to people who would want to try out for a reality show? What advice would you give them, or just in general? What would you say to people who, because I get so many people, Brian, I want to be on a reality show. I'm like, really? Do you know what's involved with doing that? I don't care. They don't know. What advice
I think
would you give them without giving anything away?
I think what you said is the people who say, I don't care, I just want to do it, are probably the people who are hopefully more built for it, because you do have to have that attitude. That's the main thing why so many reality people are like a little bit crazier on a hinge, just because they don't care. And you have to be the type of person who's like, this is me, take it or leave it, and not care what people have to say. But it is very trying. Like, after I went on, I had people messaging me and my phone was crazy and like, you trended on Twitter. And then I went to read it and it was the worst things that I have ever read in my life. Like, it was awful. And even like my Instagram or fan accounts and things, that people coming to your page and what people say is not always what you would expect them to say. It can be something that you've never thought of. And now you're like, oh, here's a new insecurity times thousands and thousands and thousands. So you either have to be strong enough to be like, okay, not keep revisiting it, which is what I've done with the social stuff, and kind of have a strong skin, know who you are, have good people around you, because people are ruthless and they really, are hiding behind screens and think that they can come straight to you and tell you exactly what they think is wrong with you in every way. That's the hardest thing. But other than that, it's so much fun.
And they don't realize they don't know you. They don't know what you've gone through prior to that. They don't know what it's like to be in this situation. And and I always remind them, you don't know what people are going through until you talk with them. So take a break, just take it, consider source and just be nice. Really.
Right. It's crazy because you can read, 10,000 good comments and one bad one, and then all day you're like,
well, it is, Lauren. It's like the comic who scans the crowd and everybody's laughing, but it's the one person who's not laughing that
I know
plays with them.
It's the human, something wrong with the wiring of the human brain, but we do it. So yeah, just take a step back from that is seriously important. I know everybody else that I've talked to who's been on the show, we were all edited very one-dimensionally. So I was like bombshell, and like that was it. Like, they didn't show any of the times I cried or the conversations I had with the girls or these relationships, because they wanted me to be like a standalone person who was like out to get everybody. So that was it. And then other people were like, this is the girl who's just going to cry the whole time, or and I was like, wow, if they'd have edited it in 30 different ways, you'd have 30 different shows. So
yes, all I will say is everything happens in the editing bay, and you can't control that.
Yeah, exactly. It's out of my hands.
One last thing. What's a favorite film for you? If you had a favorite film that you always wanted to watch, and what's a favorite when it comes to music? Like, for me, it's Van Halen. Ain't Talking About Love. That's my favorite thing.
Okay.
Or drum corps music. What is your favorite film? What's one song that you would listen to over and over and just go?
Okay. My favorite film, this is a strange one. Have you seen Closer by Patrick Marber with Jude Law, Julia Roberts, Natalie Portman, and Clive Owen?
I did the interviews for that.
Did you? Oh my God, I
Yeah.
read the play 1,000 times, and that's just like my movie. Good take on relationships and love and betrayal.
I remember them, as soon as I walked out of the Sony screening room, they gave us tissues. I remember that.
Yeah, that's funny. They were like, "This, you're gonna cry. This is good." Yeah, that's a love that movie. And song right now, I have like Justin Bieber's "Holy" on repeat. I'm like feeling very bad for him lately with all of the stuff he's putting out. But a song that I love, anything from Moulin Rouge, the
Yeah, yeah,
soundtrack.
yeah.
Yeah, anything Lana Del Rey. That's like my go-to.
All right. One last time, social media links.
You can find me on social media at Lauren Coogan on Twitter and Instagram.
Lauren, I want to thank you for coming to Movie Reviews and More. It's a pleasure and an honor to meet you. And
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing what's going to happen with you next. So your new
Yeah.
lesson you learned today, you're going to do more Zoom auditions, aren't you?
Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to start the Zoom auditions. I'll do it for you.
Don't do it for
I
me,
think
do
you're
it for
right. You've been
you.
right so far.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
do
I'll
it
do
for
it for me.
yourself, and then I'll just keep pushing our new friend Lauren.
There you go. It was lovely to meet you. Thank you.
All right, I want to thank you for that. All right, so Brian Sebastian, Movie Reviews and More, iTube 247 out of Franklin, Tennessee, Worldwide TV Network, and Women on TV.tv. And if you see someone out of smile, please give them one of Lauren's because the world needs it. Right, Lauren?
Exactly. We can all use some more smiles.
Exactly. Thank you, and we will see you next week.